So hello to everyone. I'm Saurabheshwar Sen from Catalyst Learning Services, welcoming all of you to our knowledge series on careers in the social sector. We started the knowledge series on the careers in social sector during the COVID-19 lockdown back in 2020. And since then, the knowledge series, the knowledge transfer series, the webinar series has been one of our most promising interventions at Catalyst, where since 2011, our focus has been to build career pathways around social sciences and the development sector. Catalyst over the years have attempted to support students and working professionals, preparing them, guiding and mentoring them for opportunities with bachelor's degree programs, master's degree programs, fellowships, PhD opportunities, research opportunities, employment opportunities that augur with the interfacing of social impact across different industrial sectors, leading to the creation of human service professionals for our country as well as for the global community. Catalyst students, Catalyst Alumni Network are dotted all across the world and in their own capacities are building meaningful templates to make our society more inclusive and equitable. Without further delay, I would like to, with my greatest delight, introduce Nikita to all of you. Nikita, an alumnus of Catalyst, is an ex-SBI fellow, and she's going to share with us her experience of the program, as well as how she has been able to apply herself with the outcomes of the course. Before we begin and hand over the discussion to Nikita and to all of you, my earnest request to the audience is that feel free to be as interactive as possible, because it is a knowledge exchange attempt. It is not just where we are listening to Nikita's experience and stories. So we would encourage the audience, the participants who are in the Zoom meeting, as well as watching us live on YouTube, to share your comments as well as your questions that we can, to the best of our capacity, address during the course of our discussion with Nikita. Nikita joins us from Rajasthan. And before we started the session, I guess Nikita had shared that there was a little technical glitch in terms of the electricity being snapped for a bit. So possibly Nikita may not be able to keep her video on throughout the session. However, we will be able to hear her for sure. Nikita, if you're still there, please welcome to the session. And I hope we are audible to you.
Hello, sir. I hope I'm audible. Please
yes,
confirm.
Absolutely. Yes, yeah. Absolutely.
Hello,
so Nikita,
hello,
hi, and I would like you to be introduced to an audience in our Zoom meeting that spreads across aspirants, students, working professionals, very enthusiastic, I would say, people from different walks of the society and backgrounds who are keen to interact with you, Nikita, as well as to understand the prospects of the SBI Youth for India Fellowship. So Nikita, firstly, thank you to take out time on a Sunday afternoon. I know you are usually busy with your schedule throughout the week, but we really appreciate from the entire community at Catalyst that you could create time for us. To start off, Nikita,
yes, sir.
Yeah, I was
just saying, I'm, thank you for providing this platform, first of all, to just share my experience about fellowship. And again, to answer if anyone is having any query regarding the program or even regarding the sector from a fellow's perspective. So yeah, thank you for that.
Truly appreciate Nikita. Nikita, to start off, our discussion, we would like to know that if you can share with us some experience from the SBI Youth for India Fellowship. And also, we are all very keen to know what inspired you to apply for the fellowship in the first place?
So I would say this is a tricky question for me, because the year that I've applied for fellowship, I also applied for a development studies program at TISS Mumbai and Azim Premji University, Bangalore. And by end of the process, I was having all the three opportunities open for me, waiting for my approval. And at the same time, I was also doing a full-time job as a full stack developer in an IT company. So as it was a COVID year, my thoughts were basically that how can I be on field rather than studying a course, because I really wanted to gain the gist of the sector before going ahead with my masters. So I haven't applied for my masters yet, because I really feel that for me, the first hand understanding of sector, field, and how it is progressing when when we are talking about sustainable development goals, and then India's representation on global platform, how do I as an individual can contribute directly to the field. So that was my idea, which allowed me to go for SBI Youth for India fellowship rather than directly going for masters. So yeah, that was my motive of joining the fellowship.
Very interesting, Nikita. We heard that you mentioned that you were a full stack developer with a software company, and from there you shifted to rural development with the SBI fellowship. And of course, we would also like to come to the current assignment of yours, Nikita, post fellowship. Before we get into those details of what you are currently doing, and maybe some more technical aspects of the fellowship, would you like to share with us that how has the fellowship impacted your personal and professional growth? By that, we would like to know that did you see that you could kind of acquire new skills, or you could gain valuable insights of the development sector? Because you clearly mentioned that your purpose was to gain field orientation, which was much more critical than being specific about a master's degree or an academic program. So if you would like to highlight some of these points, Nikita, in terms of any skill that you gained through the fellowship, which earlier as a software developer you felt that you needed to evolve as a professional. So any thoughts on that, Nikita?
I would say the primary skill that I have gained during my fellowship is people's skill. It's sitting in a cubicle in an office enclosed in an IT park was restricting in terms of acquiring and bonding with people, getting that connection with people who are directly on field and with whom you will directly be working. So I think fellowship has given me that opportunity to meet with people and build a relationship which will last longer than any short term or deadline driven goal. So I think that was a primary thing. Other than that, I really feel that people talk about the management skills and all, but fellowship is one such opportunity where you have to manage your project from the scratch, and that too being a one-man army. So it allows you to understand the problem, try to dig deeper to understand root cause of your of whatever problem your community might be facing, and then again discussing this with community. Personal skills come into the picture where you will be able to understand how can this problem be solved with the community, because here fellowship does not ask you to be the problem solver. It asks you to facilitate the pilot project, the solution that one might think can help your community to overcome that problem. So I believe that along with the people skill, management skills are one such a mandatory skill that one can easily gain from the fellowship. So these are particularly my learnings from the fellowship, I would say.
That's great. Nikita, you are currently in Rajasthan. And of course, prior to going to Rajasthan, you were at different locations. Why don't you take us through the little journey, like from where you started and then where the fellowship took you in terms of the location or the demography in India, and then in any specific experience that you had gained while at the fellowship that you felt was very important for you to adjust in terms of the cultural adaptation or the community adaptation, as we understand that there are certain sharp differences in India, even within districts. And we reckon that you had traveled considerably from your hometown through the fellowship and eventually now to Rajasthan. If you would like to take us through that journey.
Sure. So I would say this started from my hometown, which is Nagpur, Maharashtra. After doing my engineering, before engineering, I never, been to any other state as a solo traveler. Post engineering, I was in Bangalore for around 6 to 7 months, in very early stage of my career of software developer, as a software developer. So from Bangalore to Hyderabad for around 1.5 years, exploring the South Indian culture and specifically food. And after that, COVID happened, and I was again back to square one, Nagpur, Maharashtra, for around a year. After that, the fellowship has given, has given me that opportunity of traveling to a state where I don't think, and not even the state, I'm talking about village, where I don't think, if not fellowship, then I'm sure I would not have been, to that village for sure in my life ever. So fellowship has given me that opportunity to be in West Bengal, in Nadia district, Pulia village. So Pulia is a beautiful town on the banks of river Ganga. It's a weavers community. Whole day you will be just, you'll be able to listen the handloom weaving and loom machines and beautiful colors throughout the streets. So yeah, from Maharashtra to Karnataka to Telangana, and then to West Bengal, and now to the Jaipur, Rajasthan. So yeah, if 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 uh, if I would say that, uh, like a golden opportunity is to explore something, very remotest, like remote part of our country. People in my batch got opportunity to be in the hills of Odisha, tribal belts and Jharkhand and whatnot. So yeah, similarly, I was in West Bengal, very close to the Bangladesh border, India Bangladesh border. Yeah, I hope I have answered your question. Please let me know.
Yes, absolutely, Nikita. What the question that naturally follows, because many of us are actually possibly located in West Bengal as we speak. Some of us could be outside West Bengal. But of course, one of the greatest diversification which happens in a country like India is definitely the language. And we keep hearing about the regional language barrier, Nikita.
Yeah,
how did you mitigate through that challenge, if I may ask you?
Yeah, so one thing is, I love languages. I love to learn language, and it's like I always look forward to learn a language from the scratch, right? Starting from identifying the alphabets and the lipi, obviously. So West Bengal was challenging in that terms, because my community was like, the language known to my community was Bengali only. They were not able to communicate with me in Hindi. So in the first month when I was in Bengal, in Pulia, I was just discussing with people that how can I, if I have to work there for around 13 months, I have to learn the language. And for that, I think my love for languages helped me to, adapt to the culture and to the and again, I also believe that West Bengal is one state where festivals are so prominent that they'll give you the chance to be part of the community. So with me, I happened to start my journey in West Bengal during the Durga Puja of 2022. So post Puja, we have so many festivals lined up, and I was able to take part in those festivals, and slowly I've learned the language. So I think I have taken around 1 to 2 months to completely learn and able to reply back in Bengali. But I remember while preparing myself for fellowship, when I got to know that I'm assigned with West Bengal, I learned the first sentence in Bengali, which is আমি বাংলা বলতে পারি না কিন্তু বুঝতে পারি. So that was the first sentence that I was able to like learn in Bengali.
Right.
So I believe that uh, one's readiness to understand communities, the community completely, actually will definitely help them to learn the language. That's what at least happened in my case.
That's amazing to know, Nikita. And I must compliment that the first sentence that you learned, other than the usual popular sentence that we hear from so many, that, আমি তোমায় ভালোবাসি or something like that, you actually used a pretty complex sentence, which is very interesting. And this is one aspect which, as the development sector is growing, we are definitely noticing the need, the hand-holding support required in order to make our communication more effective. So yes, I would like to know, Nikita.
I was saying that we have to, take ourselves out from the limitation of English or Hindi, right, or some specific languages. We have to be open about learning new language, because in the hills of tribal belts, people don't even speak Odia, the mainstream state language. So one has to be ready to understand and learn the language of their community.
Great. So did you get it's pretty evident that your love for language helped you to pick up a language like Bangla much more efficiently. But otherwise, was there a structured support in terms of helping you pick these communication skills as a part of the fellowship training or guidance or mentorship, Nikita?
Yes, sir. So SBI fellowship provides you that support where they allow you to secure a tutor who can help you learn the language as early as possible. And the duration is around 3 months. The first 3 months, where they ask you if you can get a tutor or if you can directly learn it from community members. So yeah, that support is always there.
Right.
And again, the fellowship consists of fellows from all around the states, like all around the country. So anyway, the cross fellow learning can also happen, where you can learn a language from any other fellow who's native to the place that one is assigned to.
Okay, great. So Nikita, just if I would like to understand, or we would like to ask you that during your fellowship, if you would like us to run through like a typical day as a fellow, say if I would like to visualize that, from the morning till afternoon or evening that you're working, or we don't know if you would even go beyond that time, what would be a typical day, like a set of activities, especially say with the projects that you were part of, that, we would like to understand from your experience?
Sure. So my project of my primary project was menstrual health and hygiene management with my community. And again, Fulia is a very it is in a very different sets of activities are conducted by citizens there. So one such activity was yoga class, where I could meet many women from the village. So I decided to be a part of that yoga class, because that will also give me opportunity to discuss and to communicate, network with more women. So my day used to start around 7 o'clock in the morning, doing my things, having a cup of milk or so, and then going for yoga class. And post 1.5 hours there, I used to come back and again go to Seva Bharat's office, which was our partner organization in West Bengal. So from the office, I used to discuss with my local facilitator and NGO staff about the event that they are planning to conduct, any specific festival or any specific celebration that they want to go forward with. So we used to plan our we used to design event games and even meetings with our health agawans and all, because I was working in the health domain, so I used to interact with our health agawans. And then it was after lunch, it was followed by a field visit where I used to be on my tvs moped and to my field. And then uh, a typical day at field is nothing special. It's just going to people's houses, discussing with them, laughing, and then like narrating stories, and then asking them to come forward and let's have a discussion, a collective discussion via games, activities. We also had a couple of celebrations on menstrual hygiene day, women's day, national girl child day, even some more. So we used to plan for these activities. We used to also design our monthly calendar, what we want to do this month, how are we planning to learn more about our menstruation, our health. And that were also some of my community leaders uh, were also interested to understand how can they bridge the like how can they bridge the gap between the women from my community and the health workers who were working at PSCs. So we used to have a very in-depth discussion about what can be done, where are the gaps, how can we introduce something new, maybe a simple thing like introducing or talking about a menstrual cup. So that's something very new for my community, and I still remember the whole month we were just laughing, and inch by inch we were getting closer to bridging that information gap. So this kind of activities were involved. And most of the times my day used to end on a note where I used to go to a Kalinaranpur station to have some chap and chai with my community members, some of my community members, and then come back to my place. So yeah.
That's really interesting. Nikita, you mentioned about the space of working with menstrual health and hygiene, and of course, women were the primary, I would say, participants there. What role did you find the men around playing? Like, was there like a conscious effort to also involve them in your campaigns or sensitization? And how warmed up, or what was the take on also looking at the gender balance in the approach of your project?
Yeah, so in the initial stages only, I really want to work on the broader, space with respect to menstruation. And one decision of me, which came very handy in order to address this, was to conduct to conduct our meetings in the open space rather than conducting it on anyone's terrace or in a closed space. I decided let's sit in the middle of village where a tree is there, like children play there. So we decided to start our discussions at that place. And how this decision turned is when I remember in the month of August, we were discussing, and one of my community members were just decided to ask her father to bring a pack of sanitary pads. And we were so happy to see that gesture coming out from her, because it also showcased the comfort and the safety that this project was able to bring, where women were feeling safer to discuss such topics in open space. So I really feel that it helped us to include men, even though we did not directly went to them and asked we need your participation, but indirectly the approach was successful in including them. And yeah, that's how the story goes on.
That's really interesting. I'm so glad that you also experienced the impact, creating tangible change in the approach and attitude and behavior towards menstrual health and hygiene. Nikita, many of us are also equally keen to apply for the fellowship. And if we begin with leaving aside the technicalities again, what advice would you like to give to someone who is considering applying for the SBI Youth for India Fellowship? And also in that, if you would like to include the qualities that you feel are important for a successful fellowship experience, including the selection in the first place. Like, did you observe that there are certain skills, competence, credibility, temperament that the fellowship is looking at? So if you would like to share some of those thoughts from your end.
Sure, sir. So I believe fellowship is looking at leaders. The fellowship is a very leadership oriented fellowship where fellows are expected to lead themselves in the field. I won't say that a successful fellowship career, fellowship experience, because that's very subjective. But I would rather say not to have any expectations before going directly to the field, because that you never know. You will be assigned to a very new field where the language and people and culture and festivals, everything will be different. So rather than keeping expectation, fellowship looks for people who are having leadership qualities and at the same time who are also keen on building network. So as a part of, for example, as a part of Catalyst, we are building a network of like-minded people, right? Where we are oriented towards working on field in the development sector. So similarly, fellowship also looks for people who are keen on building long-term relationships, long-term network with respect to the sector. And fellowship also gives that opportunity to just try out for the sake of experiencing it, because one never know, people might be having some different understanding of development sector, some as it is represented like in the book or in an article or so rather than having such fancy expectations and without portraying such picture, you can actually experience the same by applying to the fellowship. So along with leadership and networking, I believe one's readiness to experience something new is also a quality for used by the selection committee to understand a candidate.
Okay.
To expand on this, I also believe that in order to after selection, for sure, in order to fulfill your expectations from the fellowship, I'm not saying from the field or from the project, but from the fellowship, is also resilience primarily, because you will experience so many situations where you will feel that, oh, I came with so and so expectation but I'm not able to fulfill those. Some failure in some or the other forms might interrupt your uh, fellowship. So resilience is one such thing where even SBI Youth for India team also encourages people to just experience and not care about failure or success, because at end of the 13 months we are not looking for a successful project, but we are looking for a successful effort. So yeah, those are the skills that I would like to mention in order to if one is aspiring to apply for such fellowships in the development sector. Yeah.
Wonderful, Nikita. Extending to that question, like you are from a background of engineering, being a software developer, got selected into the SBI Youth for India Fellowship. We see aspirants, Nikita, from backgrounds of humanities, arts, liberal arts, commerce, science, sometimes, even people who are part of medicine, dentistry, from varied walks of life, including working professionals like you, eager to transit into the opportunity that a SBI Youth for India Fellowship offers. However, we realize that, as you mentioned, that the fellowship definitely nurtures a certain vision and mission, right? In the fabric of societal development, rural development for the 13 months tenure or the prescribed tenure that the fellowship offers to its fellows. How does one as an individual adapt to that? Like, is there, like, as part of the selection procedure, any specific goal setting that they're looking at? And after you're selected, Nikita, do you undergo like a formal training in order to come to terms with the vision or mission statement, irrespective of the background that you're from?
So fellowship actually, the fellowship's foundation is built on the principle of diversity, having people from diverse set of from diverse education background, from diverse work experience background. And after selection, we have a 10 days induction program. So the 10 days induction program facilitates and informs more about the process, but at the same time, it also through the games, like we have an Naranpur Express game. So such kind of case studies and game, it will also introduce us to the community, to the village, to the typical setting that we will be working in. Similarly, after SBI's induction program, we also have a 2-week induction program by the NGO, where to whatever NGOs will be assigned, the NGO will be conducting induction for a couple of weeks. They'll be introducing us to their different domains of work, different fields, different kind of interventions, and would also allow us to understand in which domain we'll be able to contribute to our best capacity. So it's not the formal goal setting that SBI does in the start, but it's goal setting has to be done by the fellow. They have that opportunity to select the project, to select the community, and even to select like in the initial stages only, we have to provide our preferences for the domain of area that we want to work, like the domain that we want to work in, or the partner NGO that we would like to get associated with. So along with such opportunities, we have to decide in what project you can contribute to the most. So consider me coming from a background of technology. Programs like digital literacy are one of the best suitable program where I'll be able to provide or contribute in my capacity to the best. So even during my fellowship, we conducted programs on digital literacy, and where about 110 students were able to enroll for the program. And I'm grateful for Seva Bharat support, where they have provided us infrastructure with computers, where I was able to conduct such training program. So yeah, it's the fellow who has to do the goal setting for themselves. Yeah.
That's really interesting. I mean, that, an individual idea actually gets the precedence in terms of steering the project, as well as, setting, as Nikita highlights,
truly. Yep.
the mandates of the fellowship, as well as, for the targets that the fellowship would eventually consider. Nikita, 13 months you have spent with the SBI Youth for India Fellowship. At the start of this session, you had highlighted that while applying for the fellowship, you were equally considering opportunities for a master's, but then the fellowship happened and you chose that because you felt you wanted to get stronger exposure about the field. And as I know that, even after the fellowship has got over, you haven't got back to academia, but if you would like to highlight how the fellowship helped you to transit to the current assignment, Nikita, that you are in.
So as I mentioned during the skills question, when we were discussing on skills, I mentioned about networking quality, building relationships. And that's something, the SBI Youth for India's alumni group is very active in terms of sharing the opportunities and sharing, referrals and all, so that a fellow can transition from a fellowship to a full-time role in the development sector. So yeah, that helped me to, like for a month, I was at home preparing to apply and all. And after that, now here at Jaipur, I am at Center for Energy, Environment and People in the role of Senior Research Associate. And I am I really, I'm really thankful for the networking opportunity that fellowship has given me, because otherwise that this could not have happened. So yeah, I think I've lost track of the question, so I'd like you to
No,
repeat it
yes,
once.
definitely. So we exactly wanted to know about your current assignment post the fellowship. And you highlighted that you are currently a senior research associate with the think tank working on energy. So Nikita, if there is no non-disclosure agreement, if you would like to just share with all of us some of the highlights of your current assignment, like you mentioned about the energy sector,
Yeah.
and you are a researcher in that domain. So what is the nature of work at the moment, Nikita, that you're part of?
So in my current capacity, sir, as I come from a electrical engineering background with experience in IT, I bring the skill of understanding of electrical engineering along with the data skills that I've gained from IT. So these are helping me. I'm so sorry for the background noise if you are getting some from my end. But I was saying that these skills are enabling me to contribute for the different sets of projects that we have, such as thermal power, yeah, the thermal power sector in India, how the coal based energy sources are, how the targets for coal based energy sources and renewable energy sources are getting designed in India, considering the energy dilemma. And then we also have a very interesting project that I'm working on currently is transport mobility. So where we are working on electric mobility transition for city of Jaipur. So these are some of the interesting projects. Other than that, we are having projects on circular economy of photovoltaic solar panel. So such projects are SOBAS Center for Energy, Environment and Peace is primarily providing research support in such projects where it is directly linked to the energy sector of India. And at the same time, it's also about the environmental and social concerns considering the energy in India.
Right. That's I would say something which all of us are noticing to be a very contemporarized issue, especially in the domain for climate innovation, sustainability, and of course that's really interesting, Nikita. On that note, as you mentioned that the fellowship gives the fellows opportunities to transit from the fellowship to job opportunities, and if there are people who are looking forward to furthering their academic pursuits, of course they can do that. Would like to understand, Nikita, that as a fellow, even after completing the 13 months current tenure at the fellowship and moving forward with the next stage of your professional pursuit or academic pursuit, are there provisions, Nikita, that the fellows can kind of in some capacity give back to the fellowship or are still associated with the fellowship? What is your take, or are you already associated back with them in any means? Yeah.
Yeah. So uh, fellowship provides multiple opportunities to come back and contribute. Recently, Youth for India conclave took place in Delhi. Sorry, in Delhi.
Right.
In the first week of April, I believe. So where fellows were like, some of the fellows have started their own organization, their own entrepreneurial journey.
Right.
So they were provided a platform where they could pitch about their product, about their uh, organization and secure funding, and also at the same time network with fellows from other batches. So fellowship provides that opportunity. Along with it, I guess fellowship also provide opportunities to be a part of selection committee for some some limited duration. So that's also one
Okay.
thing where one can give back to the fellowship in terms of helping it design better towards fellow experiences and contribution, and also can give back to fellowship by in terms of being part of a selection committee. And I believe there are so many other roles that one can be a part of, but yeah. So these are some of the things where you can still be touched, like still in touch with the fellowship and Youth for India team.
Right. Okay, that's really heartening to know. Before we move forward, I think we would love to see participants. If you have any specific questions from your individual end, feel free to ask, even using your microphone, or you might even write in the chat box, because we want to keep this interactive. I believe many of you have been hearing our discussion. So anyone with any specific question before we move ahead, anything that you would like to ask or know specifically to your requirement, you're most welcome to write or in the chat box or ask using your microphone. Yes, Momi, please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Hello, Nikita. It's wonderful listening to you through the mails that you share. I just wanted to ask, which I feel like is very in this moment. Um, so I know you come from an engineering background. So I'm studying. I'm just in the final year of analytics at Tata Institute of Social Science, surrounded by people who are motivated for corporates, right? So, but I have never felt the need to work there, even though I do know that that would help me a lot with my personal growth. I also think I would need to support my family after a certain point. So I need to build my career accordingly. So now, given all of this, it is content with. I honestly don't want to question whether I'm making a mistake by not opting for opportunities which help me more in my personal growth, right? Still inspired to about that. I'm from an engineering background near Bangalore, which is in Valley of India. So I was really interested to know what inspired you or drove you into this field, and what keeps you inspired every day to, work.
Okay, I think Momi, we understood your question. I will just repeat it for everyone as well as Nikita's convenience. Nikita, if you could follow Momi, that she is currently, as she highlights, was completing her master's in analytics from TISS, and she has opportunities to work in the corporate. However, she has not felt that direct urge to work in a corporate, irrespective of knowing, as per her understanding, that such opportunities can help her in her personal growth. But now knowing about your story, Nikita, from an engineering background, working for the rural communities, as you highlighted, Momi would like to know that, what drives you to work for them, and what is that inspires you even now? Because even now, when you're working in Rajasthan, you're very close to rural communities. Something that I think we had asked earlier also, but if Nikita, you would like to expand that for the sake of helping Momi understand better.
Sure,
Thank you.
sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, mommy. Hope you are doing well. So, for me, it's since childhood I understand, and I have uh, tried to understand the root cause. So, during engineering, in the fellowship, like during my time in West at Pulia in West Bengal, and even here in Jaipur, Rajasthan, I'm still trying to work on problem understanding. What exactly is the problem? When we say that that community mobilization is very tough, what exactly do we mean by that? Where is the problem? So that's what helps me to keep on contributing, keep on working, and I believe that system changes can be brought by understanding and by addressing the root causes rather than doing superficial patches. We have to work on root cause understanding. That's what I am passionate about, and help source my motivation to contribute in my capacity. I hope I have answered your question, mommy.
Yes, Nikita, thank you so much, and you're an inspiration.
Oh, that's too early to say, I guess, but thank you so much. Yeah.
Great. Any other question? Thanks, Momi, for asking that question. Anyone else who would like to ask a question specific, to your perspective, or any concern, any difficulty that you're facing, you are not sure, please feel free. We still have some more time left. Mayank, go ahead with your question. Thank you.
Hi, Saurabh. Thank you. Am I audible?
You are.
Hi, Nikita. Good evening. I hope you are doing well. So my question is that you mentioned that you're working as an individual along with an NGO, right? So I just want to understand a bit more about the functioning of this fellowship. Like, what exactly you are? Are you an entrepreneur who is working with an NGO? Are you someone who's designing your own project? Are you someone who is responsible for, laying down certain policies or carrying forward certain, implementations? So exactly what is the role of the fellow? I mean, once you get onto the field.
So hi, Mayank. Good evening, first of all. The role of a fellow is very simple. It's just try. See through your eyes, what problem do you see? And the problem understanding is not what I believe. The problem is basically what my community feels. For me, not going to school could be a problem. But is that a problem for my community, right? So you have to understand what's the pressing problem with your community. What are they feeling about the problem? And then try. How can you help them address that problem? So a fellow is not somebody like an intern to the partner NGO, or like an intern to SBI fellowship, SBI Youth for India team. But it's have to build their project, and obviously support in terms of field understanding, community understanding, communication barrier, or even to some extent hand holding from the partner NGO has been done. And Wi-Fi also plays a very prominent role in order to provide you mental health support as well, because they understand and they recognize that sending you to a very new field, very new community state could lead to some kind of stress. So they also provide you different types of support. So it's the fellow who has to work on their project primarily, and they can secure any type of support from partner NGO and Youth for India team. So it's not that we are working on some kind of implementation or some kind of policy design, policy analysis, or the other names. It's just understanding the problem and working on it. That's it. Trying something. It can be successful. There are strong chances that it won't work out, but there's no harm to try, and that's what fellowship gives opportunity for, to just try out what all ideas you might be having.
Right, Mayank. I hope that answered your question. That it is an open experience, as Nikita highlights, for everyone
Yes.
to possibly rediscover the opportunities that are untapped. Maybe also, as Nikita highlights, be able to travel to the root cause of problems. More than solutions, be more aware of the nature of problems, because that helps us to sustain interventions. And as far as Mayank's question is concerned, maybe even later on with those learnings, be able to influence policies also, with maybe either during the fellowship, or even maybe later on while you are working after the fellowship, in terms of furthering your employment opportunity, academic or research pursuit. Any more questions, anyone? I would like to just ask Nikita something that came to my mind. We have some time still left, and I'm glad that you could turn on your video camera. Thank you for that. Nikita, we are currently in the country grappling with different sets of social problems. So one set of social problem is definitely like, say, contemporary situations of emerging, health concerns, right? In terms of the pandemic that we are still experiencing sporadically, one would say, in our country. Heat waves, which we have been very fresh, in Kolkata, West Bengal, as well as in different parts of the country. It led to closure of schools, colleges, universities also in various parts this year also, Nikita, already in the month of April. There is a growing concern about rising population. We are aware we are the most populous country in the world, right? And finally, there is also the overarching risks of climate hazard that we are talking about, the vulnerabilities. Fueled by digital learning gaps, some of the projects which you mentioned while being a fellow with the fellowship that you had run through your forte in technology. So we would like to understand, Nikita, that how do you see the SBI Youth for India Fellowship playing that pivotal role, of gearing up young minds with that understanding? And I'm using a word that you had used earlier, resilience, in terms of responding to these changes. So because everyone is concerned that, okay, what I'm getting into as a career choice, is that going to last for the next 5 years? This is a big question on everyone's mind. The job at this moment, will it remain? We are talking about ChatGPT, AI, ML, every day. Everyone is trying to understand, okay, to what extent do I really need to understand these languages or these approaches of decision making? There is always this great debate that is happening. And our students and aspiring working professionals are sometimes, caught in that jargon and confusion. How do you think that the SBI Youth for India Fellowship can actually be that I would say, that mirror to reflect upon, as well as to be better prepared for the future ahead?
So one thing that I particularly see, as a development challenge in India is no challenge is in isolation. There are intercommunication between every challenge, may it be climate and the energy, may it be climate and health, right? So when we are talking about climate hazards and education, as you mentioned clearly, heat waves have led to closure of schools and universities. So no problem is working in, no problem is present in isolation. So I believe, fellowship gives you that opportunity to, and not restricts you to be, work only on one project. As I've mentioned, my project was on menstrual health and hygiene, but at the same time, I also got an opportunity to work on child marriage problem in West Bengal with Ministry of Women, Child Development and Social Justice, if I'm correctly naming the department. But I got that opportunity. I also worked on digital literacy program with kids. I also learned, a language. So it helped me as well to, gain something new. And it also introduced me to a wider set of problems, the interconnection of problem, how my, as I was saying, that how my water challenge has led to gender disparity in my community, in our villages, or even in the urban spaces. That's very prominent in urban spaces. We come from a very clear urban mindset that, oh, there is no problem here in cities or so, but actually there are very prominent problems outgrowing in cities. So SBI Fellowship, by allowing you to work in any domain, and by asking you to be in the field for complete duration of 13 months, not only helps you deliver a project, but it also introduces you to n number of problems, n number of challenges, and how are they, interlinked with each other. So I would like to answer your question by saying that there are somewhere around 12 domains which one can select while, considering their fellowship journey. And that is very critical even to contribute post fellowship in the career sector. Like currently I am working in the energy domain, in the transport mobility, and I am also thinking then how can I build a transportation system more inclusive. Inclusive not in just terms of gender, but inclusive in terms of specially able people, right? Inclusive in terms of socio-economic uh, locations of the city. So I truly believe that fellowship gives you that, uh, platform to understand interlinkages of problem, which will help you contribute in a better way even during your future career opportunities.
That's amazing. You highlighted 12 sectors, Nikita. Are they part of the fellowship plan, like, or is it like something that you discovered on your own?
No. So as I mentioned, we have opportunity to provide preferences for partner NGO. We also have opportunity to provide preferences for domain. So 12 domains are already like identified, such as education, and then health, obviously digital literacy, financial literacy. We have projects on technology, sustainable waters, and waste management, and also such 12 domains are already identified. And even if you are considered for one domain, consider, for example, one is considered for rural livelihood, that never excludes you from working on health, because as a part of fellowship, as a part of community member, you are free to contribute in your capacity in any domain.
Right, because there can be overlaps, as you highlighted. There can be overlaps. There are intersectionalities also, which is always at play, one would say.
To go back to Mayank's question, no, so it's not a very defined role that you have to do this. It's just trying out. I would like to reiterate that it's you who have to take a decision and explore what exactly can be done on so and so problem, understand the root cause, their interlinkage, and then contribute accordingly. So that plays a very important role in fulfilling objective like the one that I was having, getting a first-hand understanding of the sector. So that truly helps to candidate like me who were coming with this objective.
Right. That's really interesting, Nikita. I mean, I guess that openness also creates the flexibility in one's mind and approach, in order to embrace the changes which are taking place, because you are kind of thinking also laterally when you're looking at a project, or you are even focusing on something specific to menstrual health and hygiene, but it can also have an impact with climate change or climate hazard. That is equally critical. Nikita, one final question. I think we are close to. We didn't realize that 1 hour has already been spent. But if you would like to know if you have any specific plans for the future, like you see continuing with the work that you're doing in the development sector currently, because you are now in the energy domain, and through that, if you would also like to round off the session, Nikita, with some final words for our participants and aspirants who are looking forward to opportunities, especially in the development sector. Please begin with maybe knowing how do you see maybe the sector evolving, and any such plans around it.
So as such, I'm not having any current, plan change for now, because I have recently joined this and I'm really enjoying and learning a lot in the space of energy and governance. So I would like to, be a part of this workforce to adapt to the critical, transition that is happening in India. And rather than in academia, I believe in the industry, in the sector, it will give you a direct practical understanding. So I still, I'm looking forward to continue with this role, with gaining in-depth understanding of what exactly are we moving towards. And in the development sector, I believe, sir, it's students' openness, as we were also discussing earlier, that students have to be open about learning something new. They can't restrict themselves that uh, they want to be specialized in this, because the system, rather than looking it as an individual, right, we have to look it as a system. When you interact with the system, when you communicate with the system, there are better opportunities of interchanging the knowledge, interchanging of the opportunities, and then achieving a better, or I might say a greater good to in the development sector that we are targeting. So it's the openness to learn what all you can,
Right.
and to build network.
Brilliant, brilliant. One just final question.
Yeah.
We are extending your time, Nikita. We are not keen to let you go, that's for sure, so easily. Unnaini Banerjee writes in the comments, I'll just read out the question for you. That thank you for sharing such detailed fellowship experience, Nikita ma'am. So currently, I'm at the fag end of completing my master's in economics from Calcutta University. And as a career path, I always wanted to be associated with a field-specific work for self-growth as well as to extend my networking skills. So after listening to your experiences, skills requirement, and self-growth journey, I am also eager to be part of the program. So I would ask, please do brief about the application procedure and recruitment process. So maybe with that question, we can round off the session. Nikita, I would just like to highlight to every participant that SBI Youth for India Fellowship does have an application portal, a website, which many of you must have explored. We will be sharing those links right after the session today. However, for the sake of your understanding, Nikita would like to share from her end, maybe again, not very specific in terms of the technicalities that is there in the website, but Nikita might want to highlight some of the major points concerning the application procedure and recruitment.
So first of all, if you are really willing to be part of this journey, please head to the portal, because applications are live right now. So I guess there are around 4 rounds of application process, with first round being registration, second round being detailed application form, as we say, where you have to narrate, like answer some questions and also tell about yourself, narrate your story of leadership and objective of joining the fellowship, what you expect from the fellowship. Post that, the third round is I guess a psychometric test, and then fourth is the final interview round. Post interview round, the onboarding will be offered in 2 cohorts. One is the August cohort and another is the October cohort. So you can join any cohort as per your convenience. And what else? So the total fellowship is of around 13 months, and the fellowship actually provides support in terms of like the expert as well. Like we have Dr. Shankar Datta sir, who has been working on rural livelihood in the development sector from last 40 years. We have Dr. Vikas Manyar sir, who's from Azim Premji University, and also provides support and guidance in education domain. So we have such kind of support systems at Youth for India, and you can always reach out to them, take their support, guidance, and you can also reach out to alumni to understand if what all different sets of problems that they have faced when they were at so and so part of like in the village or in the NGO. So they can help you understand those problems and help you navigate through those. And at the same time, there are, as a part of fellowship, there are actually 2 events, like 2 meetups kind of, where in the first review you will be disclosing your project idea framework, seeking reviews on it, feedback on it, how can you improve. And then second review talks about how can you have to present your work, challenges, what all problems you are facing, just presented during the second review. Gain support from your co-fellows, from alumni and from industry experts like Shankar Datta sir, Vikas Manyar sir. And it also allows you to be meet and understand how other fellows are approaching towards a problem which might appear similar. So yeah, this is the fellowship, structure that they follow. The selection, then onboarding, and then NGO onboarding. Post NGO induction program, you'll be given 2 months to understand community's problem and come up with your project plan, 2 to 3 months. And then the second review happens, and then the convocation happens where you have to just like goodbye to the fellowship, but at the same time opens up new opportunities for you in terms of networking, in terms of career transition and career transition support and all. I would like to mention, sir, that SBI from our batch has also started, arranging or partnering with some organization who can provide who can provide career transition support.
Right.
So that could be also one thing which will, which definitely helps fellows to secure other opportunities post fellowship. So that's the fellowship structure broadly. Application process is pretty simple. If you open the portal and website is self-explanatory in terms of the number of rounds and the duration. But I would suggest to head to the portal and gain more information. If you have a very specific question, you can always write it to me.
Surely. I hope, Unnaini, that answers your question.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nikita, for being very, very elaborate as well as illustrative with your perspective sharing with all of us today. Sunday's been a learning experience for all of us through the eyes of Nikita, through her journey being a software engineer, and prior to that, pursuing engineering from Nagpur, then to working with a software company, and then moving to West Bengal with the SBI fellowship, and now back to Rajasthan. And it's been a pleasure, Nikita, to host you with
Same
us.
here, sir. I'm really grateful for having such conversation and this platform.
Thank you so much, participants, also for asking questions that helped us to steer the session. Thank you for showing your interest and support in our attempt at Catalyst to share with all of you emerging opportunities which will help you transit better, as professionals of the future. Thank you so much once more from all of us at Catalyst, and we look forward to see many of you be part of the SBI Youth for India Fellowship in the coming days. And all the best to you, Nikita. Do stay with us and keep sharing.
Thank you so much,
our
sir.
support.
Sure.
Thanks a lot. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir. Bye all. Thank you.